So welcome to 2.8, where we'll be looking at reciprocal and simple rational functions and the equations of asymptotes. We've already seen the equations of asymptotes in an earlier video, so this will be a little bit of a review with respect to that part of the standard. But now also we'll be looking at a special function, namely this reciprocal function, which they have here at the beginning of the content guide, and its self-inverse nature. So we'll start with that. So what is special about 1 over x? Well, they mentioned that it is self-inverse in nature. So what does that mean? Well, let's actually take a look maybe at what this inverse is. So what is the inverse going to be? So how do we figure out inverse in general? Sometimes they'll say show that a function is the inverse of another. And for all these problems, the idea is going to be to switch the variables, right? So if y is equal to 1 over x, we want to have now x is equal to 1 over y. And now we're going to solve for y in this case. So this is going to become, I will multiply both sides by y, yx equals 1, which means that y by itself is equal to 1 over x. And this is equal to, in other words, again, my inverse function is exactly the same as the original function that we started with. So what does that mean? That means if we were to look at some values, let's take a look. If I were to plug into either let's say this is x and this is f of x. If I plug in, let's say, what happens if I plug in, let's say 2, I would get back 1 over 2. And if I plug in 1 over 2 to my function, I end up getting back 2, right? 1 over, this is coming from 1 over 1 over 2. And this will be true for really any problem. Negative 5 will give us back 1 over negative 5, just by plugging in. And negative 1 over 5 will give us back negative 5. So we could see that the function is self-inverse nature. In other words, if we plug in the x and the y values, it's going to reverse. It'll always go back and forth, as we see is happening here. Another thing that we would see if they were to ask us to talk about its graph, right? So the graph looks something like this. Right, there's a vertical asymptote at y equals 0. That's the vertical asymptote. The horizontal asymptote is at x equals 0, which is why it looks as it does. And we could use some of the, if you don't know where this is coming from, you could plot some of the points and they would show up exactly as we're doing there in the first and the third quadrant. And what's true also about an inverse should reflect over the line y equals x. So what happens if I were to reflect my graph in blue over that line y equals x? You should notice that it will appear exactly the same, right? If I were to have drawn this perfectly and I were to reflect it perfectly, each point would reflect directly onto some other point on the graph. In other words, the inverse of this function 1 over x is equal to itself. Right? So and in this case, we're going to see here that except when you plug in an x value and you get back a y value, if you were to plug in that y value, you get back that x value into that original function, because the original function is the inverse in itself. It's self-inverse in nature. That is the function 1 over x. We'll see another function that's also self-inverse in nature. Actually, I think this one might be. Let's take a look. So question number 2. First, they want us to explore this function a little bit more in depth. The first thing they want us to do is find all asymptotes to f of x. So as a review, the horizontal asymptote or asymptotes will come from what happens as this function goes towards the infinities. So what's going to happen as x goes towards infinity? F of x is going to be approaching, in this case, it's going to be 1 over 2. And the reason is because the leading degree or the foremost degree in the numerator and the denominator are equal. It's both to degree 1. And therefore, the horizontal asymptote is going to be determined by the ratio of the coefficients, 1 to 2. So 1 to 2 is going to be equal to 1 over 2, which means our horizontal asymptote, y, is equal to 1 over 2. And we could draw that into the graph. So that is somewhere over here. That would be my horizontal asymptote. And what about the vertical asymptote? The vertical asymptote via our vertical asymptote That's going to be whenever the denominator is equal to 0. So 1 is 2x minus 1 equal to 0. That will be when, in this case, when 2x is equal to 1, or when x is equal to 1 over 2. So that is equal to our vertical asymptote. So I could sketch that in as well with this gray dotted line to symbolize it. And then they want us to hence sketch the graph. So always make sure that we label the axis at the outset. Usually they'll tell us to do that explicitly. And then to sketch the graph, what I need to do is I want to pick some values so I can figure out which quadrants I'm in. So I'll pick maybe I want to see on the right-hand side of my asymptote, let's say I pick a number such as, let me see, I will pick the number maybe 1. Right, that's an easy number. 1 plus 5 is 6. I'll end up with 6 divided by 2 minus 1, which is 1. So that is going to be 1 comma 6. So let's see, at 1 comma 6 up here. And I could pick another point, maybe y, also pick 6 as well, which is, and when I plug in 6, I get back 6 plus 5 is 11. And 11 divided by 6 times 2, which is 12, minus 1 is 11. And I get back 1. So 6 comma 1 is going to be this point right here. And I could connect the dots in this curve. And that would be my right-hand side of the function. Let's see, if I want to see what's going to be happening to the left of this. Well, first I want to make sure that you're usually going to want to make sure you get the axis, because that's usually going to be some of the points. So let's get the y-axis. That should be pretty easy. What happens when we plug in 0? When we plug in 0, we end up getting back 5 divided by negative 1, which is equal to negative 5. So 0 comma negative 5 is right there. And let's see, when will this function equal 0? That should equal 0 when x is equal to negative 5. And negative 5 is over here. And again, same process. If I sketched it pretty well. Right, so those are my 2 quadrants where my function is located. Right, so that will be the sketch. Make sure that you clearly get the axis, the x-axis and the y-axis, which was 0, negative 5, and also negative 5, 0. And also make sure that it has the basic shape, right, the curve like we see there, and not touching the asymptotes. Right, and then finally it says that show that this function, we can already kind of see it visually, that this function looks to, again, have that characteristic where it's a perfect reflection over y equals x, where it will be itself. But they want us to show that the function is that is a self-inverse. So we know that that's what we're supposed to be getting. So they're going to want us to do the math. So how do we show that something is an inverse? We switch the variables. So in this case, it's going to become x is equal to y plus 5 over 2y minus 1. And then we want to solve for y in this case. So that would usually give you the first mark, just to know if you show them that you know what you're doing, by showing them that you know that to switch the variables. And now let's go and solve for y. So the math will be, I'll multiply both sides by 2y minus 1. That will give me now, let's see, 2yx minus x is equal to y plus 5. Next, what should you be doing? Right? Hopefully you try to work this out yourself. If not, right, and if not, you should try, and then you could see if it matches up. But the next step should be, you should have done, or you should realize to do, that I'm going to get the y's on one side, everything else on the other. So I'll move over my 2yx minus y. So I moved over the y from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. I'll move over this x over here, x plus 5. And now the next step would be, I could factor out my y's. All right, so y comes out, 2x minus 1 is equal to x plus 5. And then finally, I can get y by itself by dividing both sides by 2x minus 1, x plus 5, 2x minus 1, and 2x minus 1. And this is exactly equal to our original function. It's also obviously our inverse function because we did it, right? We did that switch in order to establish the inverse function, right? So we showed that the original function is equal to its inverse. Therefore, we show that this is a self-inverse function. That would be full marks. That is 2.8. Mostly review, except for the self-inverse part of it, which was just vocabulary and recognizing what type of function is a self-inverse. Easy enough. We will meet up again for 2.9. See you then.